Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. We're getting ready getting ready for, I closed my eyes and I couldn't speak anymore. It was weird, even though I know what's going on. We're getting ready for our second game now between Team Coast and Curse Academy. Coast had a phenomenally strong, dominating win in Game 1, so CA needs to bring it back, win 2 in a row, or win one more game and Coast go into the Wembley Arena in London, England for the finals.
Yeah, and a big thing here is Santorin. He just got out of EU. He's about to go back if they win one more game. It was pretty much complete domination by Team Coast. Just open and shut right there. They got 4 dragons, all dragons that game, 1 Baron, ended it at about 28 minutes, 10-1 in towers. A very objective-based control team. When they got that early dragon, then they ended up just snowballing it. At this point, what Curse Academy needs to do is not lane swap it. Because if they lane swap it, Coast is like, yeah, we're fine with getting Dragon for free at 3 minutes, and then we can transition it because we're a good enough team, or we're well-coordinated enough to come back with the wards and team fight it there. I
mean, all of it. Like, Coast just played the 2v0s better. I mean, Dragon in itself is, like, in a lot of ways, it's kind of free. I mean, you basically, you buy it, you basically sell a Dragon in order to lane swap, you know, in general. But then, yeah, the fact that they played to get experience on other people, the fact that Golden Glue won his match heads up and never got a gank through from St. Vicious to stop that, like down the line, great play by all of Coast. So yeah, look for the standard 2-on-2, look for Impactful and Bunny to do something, break that matchup apart, give Chris the heads up 1v1, because the way it was working definitely was not very good.
Yeah, and right now, Golden Glue has a track record of 0 deaths versus any team ManCloud's on.
Yep.
So ManCloud's team has yet to kill Golden Glue. He's been very elusive. Can Curse Academy do it this game and flip it around and get themselves some control? A lot of this is going to be dictated by champion select, because last time they picked Wave Clear on Coast side versus Curse Academy, who had none. So they basically just kept pushing it in and sieging with Lucian very quickly off of the Ziggs bombs. They're like, okay, you have Nidalee, you can't Wave Clear from a range, and you have nobody to really get to us.
Yeah.
So it's a very difficult matchup there for Curse Academy right off the bat, and I see the Ziggs ban, and I understand the Ziggs ban immediately.
I understand the Ziggs ban too. The Kale ban is going to stay though on this one. Team Coast still going to first ban Thresh and the Lucian, which I believe they first picked in Game 1. Going to ban it because they really don't want to let Chris play that champion. So not Chris, but Impactful play that champion.
Yeah, Chris lock it in for Impactful.
Yeah, that's what I was like tunneling on.
So right now, you leave up Braum, Twitch, and you're like, all right, whichever one you don't pick, first rotation, we will take for ourselves on Team Coast side. There's a couple bans left here. LeBlanc still on the table.
Jax removed away.
Yasuo,
that was actually
Yasuo is still available. It was banned last time.
Golden Glue gets his champion now if they want it. Lulu also was a ban that was left no longer on the table, so it's going to get picked up here for Curse Academy. A nice flex pick there. It doesn't mean as much blue side. You can wait on red side and make them show something. But if you wait long enough, you can still force Coast to pick one of their lanes.
Yeah, it could go to Bunny Fufu, it could go to ManCloud. Don't know how familiar Chris is on that champion. And Santorin, he's going to go with his patented Lee Sin. It's his most played champion all throughout back when he was on Cloud9 Eclipse in Europe.
Yeah.
Taking it to the enemy. And in his solo queue too. So why not have him on his comfort pick?
Makes a bunch of sense, and he's been so strong with the champion as well. Because they could pick Elise instead. You know what? Elise was banned in the first game, so maybe they really care about stealing that away from Saint and making sure he doesn't get it. But to me, it's like, I think it's better to pick for yourself than to pick something weaker but to deny. I think bans are for denial. Pick what you're good at.
Yes.
Pick the comp that's good for you guys, because that's the best way to win the game, is to play your game better than they play theirs, instead of trying to like fight their game and like outmaneuver them. Just like play your game. Braum comes through here, Lee Sin as well. So Sheep's going to get his chance to frail your tank.
You don't get to show anything with these picks. You're basically like, we're picking our comfort picks here. We're picking what's good. Curse Academy, at this point, you got to think, do we take Twitch because you don't want to be paired up with Braum and we force Mash onto something else? But he loves Vayne. Vayne with Braum is actually very good.
Yeah, it is.
Just a lot of protection for her. You're able to give her extra resistances. Just everything Braum does is really good with Vayne, and you can set up off the concussive blows, you're condemned.
Yeah, it turns there's very few Vayne lanes that become kill lanes. Because you're like, oh my gosh, Vayne is like a 1.5 second stun. Of course, she should be good, but you need someone that can tank through the damage. Braum is one of those that can make Vayne a kill lane. There's a chance that does come through. Twitch being hovered right now for Impactful. He had a very good Twitch game, to be fair. Nearly put the game on his back, but his team was too far behind. Saint will get the Elise for himself. So they're not rushing for more contested picks. They're picking roles that were going to be pretty safely grabbed. Like with the Elise, like there's no way that's getting picked by anyone else. And now we'll see.
Yeah, I think that's what you go with for Mash, because he's such a hyper carry, late game focused player. He has, like we said, the best mechanics out of any AD carry that's not in the LCS currently. He could pull that off very easily, and also it kind of, well, sometimes you want to lane swap this with a Vayne. With Vayne Braum, you're not as subject to that.
Yeah.
You're kind of like, I have more protection with her. That's perfectly fine. He could go with that. He could swap it over to something else, and yeah, he's going to go with the Corki there. Just another standard pick there. Match me on!
I think to me those make sense though,
Yeah.
right? Like the way Coast won their first game was being smart and doing a lot of things early on. Vayne doesn't have that kind of building. You can't siege with Vayne. You can't take down turrets with Vayne. You don't really power spike into items the same way with Vayne. Like, yes, you're very strong duelist, but like, you've got Rux who's winning the split push battle already. You don't really need 3 split pushes to win the game. You can just take the 1. So I actually like the mid-game 2-item spike AD carry like Corki and say, you know what, we can show up, go bring your spell burst, go take some turrets down.
Corki also does really well in the early game against Twitch.
Yeah.
This may force them to lane swap back up to the top, lest they get an unfavorable matchup.
Sure.
Because you don't want to send Corki, Braum into a Twitch for Twitch. That's bad for Twitch.
Yeah. Take some damage in this one, but I do...
Twitch Morg up against Braum, Corki. It works out pretty evenly, but there's a little edge there for Corki in the early game.
All right, well, Curse Academy, this is why they first picked Lulu, because they want the setup for Man Cloud. They want to be able to knock people into the air. Now, to be fair, there's only one teammate with setup. It's just the Lulu knockup. When we saw, I forget which team it was earlier that was playing this. I think it was Curse. They ran like Nami, and maybe it was like Lulu's. They had like multiple knockups there on the roster to set these things up. But Lulu's going to be like the one setup there for the Man Cloud. I don't know why, yeah. For the Man Cloud Yasuo, and that's going to be their attempt in, is go crush with the big mid laner.
Sorry, my brain is like, I don't think it was Curse, because Curse played the Kassadin mid.
Oh, yeah, it wasn't Curse.
It was the
I'm blanking on the Yasuo team. Either way, they did awesome with it. TSM, it was TSM that did it. It was Bjergsen who went crazy.
That's right, that's right. Everybody on that team can set him up except for the AD carry.
That's the one.
And there they go. Now they have wave clear with Corki on Team Coast. This is what Curse Academy was lacking when they had the Nidalee. You need the wave clear alongside it coming from somewhere else. AD carry with Corki, best wave clear AD carry in the game with this Missile Barrage, totally fine there. They synergize really well within that team. And they have some disengage with Braum. You can kick somebody away with Santorin. Gonna have to see how that works out for Team Coast, but here's the thing as well, is that Lulu has a good matchup up against Shyvana in the early game. You'll bully her around. Yeah. So this might make Team Coast lane swapping, because their last victory was snowballed off that first dragon. So there's a lot coming in this, or they might just go straight 2-on-2, 1-on-1, because Rux doesn't back down from fights.
Yeah, we'll see what this one really is. It's got to be interesting to look at. I don't know. Like, I can't really predict lane swap games right here.
Yeah.
For Team Coast, I think yes, Curse Academy would like the standard lanes just because lane swaps worked so poorly for them last time.
Yeah. So since we can't pretty much predict lane swaps at this point, the middle right now, Yasuo versus Nidalee. Now there's some funny things in this matchup because there's a lot of back and forth on who counters who in this matchup, because Nidalee will just auto-attack, harass Yasuo. You put about 3 points into Primal Surge, and you delay your power spikes with your spears, your javelins. You can also go Sheen into Iceborne Gauntlet and just set that up, and just once again, you delay your poke, but you win the lane hands down pretty easily. Yasuo, though, with any jungle pressure, wins that matchup. Yeah. Nidalee does not have any gank assistance, whereas Yasuo does.
And to be honest, we traditionally see Yasuo considered the counterpick to Nid.
Yes.
Like, he's got some ways into the fight. Again, only Lulu to set him up, but that might just be enough. And just in general, you can win wall pretty much all the tools that Nidalee has. So it's considered to be a Yasuo matchup, generally speaking, and yet Coast picked Nidalee knowing the entire team comp. They say, you know what, Lulu Yasuo is not enough engage. We're still okay playing poke here for Golden Glue. Yes, you might be Man Cloud playing Yasuo, but we still think Golden Glue could win this one.
Ooh.
It's a very interesting test.
There's no exhaust on Coast. So Man Cloud, a big fault in Yasuo is that you can exhaust him during his last breath and just have his damage and make it so he doesn't do a whole lot. And then he comes out of the fight, he's very staggered. He can't do anything. It's hard for him to get away. But they don't bring that tool. They go with the Ignite instead.
Interesting. So Coast looking for kill pressure on that matchup for that one. We'll see how this plays out. Coast can't quite knock down that Trinket Ward, but they don't care. They walk by knowing they've been spotted. Trinket Wards actually sees Curse Academy's invade as well. Bunny Fufu and Man Cloud putting trinkets down to see if they'll start on that Eastern blue buff. Coast doing something very similar for the Western one. They're pinging out where to put their own trinkets. There it is for MASH.
And the way that they're moving currently, it looks like Coast is going to lane swap it and put their AD carry support top, just by the way that they're positioned currently.
They've got time to change it, but right now, yeah.
Yeah, that looks like it's what it's going to be right now. They're just going to make it so that Rux isn't in that matchup up against Chris, and also they don't have to deal with the Morgana counterpick to the Braum.
Okay. Well, this is actually a pretty good vision statement right now for Curse Academy. They know for sure Coast sending dual lane top. They opt to stay with their own dual lane bottom. So Curse Academy they could have reacted, but they want this matchup. Coast, they looked to try to find what was happening, and they're not going to find much here. They don't actually have great vision to start this blue buff. I think there's one way into the jungle, theoretically, that Curse Academy could find to jack them, but that won't be the case. We will, in fact, have the pretty safe buff starts where you jungle near your dual lane, and Chris will be helping St. Vicious jungle.
I want to see if Coast ends up with some type of reaction to the 3-minute dragon. Because they know it's coming, they did it before. Is there a counter strategy to it? How do you contest that?
We'll see. Right now, just the buddy jungling so far for these guys. Mankler going to look for his way in. We know, or we've seen, I should say, for Bjergsen, he maxes E to 5 points on Yasuo for the harassment there, to try to get the big plays going on, push his opponent around, and we'll see if Mankler goes something similar for the E damage. Right now, Saint and Chris still lurking around in the sides, and it's also pushing in away from ManCloud's turret. So Golden Glue is actually pretty safe against ganks because he's got a turret right there to back him up.
Yeah, I'd love to watch what he puts into his E, what he puts into his Q on ManCloud. Because Xiao, I know he does the same thing, but it's based on matchup.
Interesting.
So a lot of it, and also the fact that Q scales with attack speed as well in terms of cooldown.
Yeah.
You hit those item spikes, you'll have the max rank of Q by level 13.
That's true. Well, right now, Curse Academy going to show up to this bottom lane right here. Looks like they might make that attempt for the dragon here. 3:12 into the game. Bunny Fufu joining as well, and the 3-man dragon about to be started. Sometimes we see teams actually shove that bottom lane down with their AD carry. In this case, it's actually an attempted freeze for Impactful. We saw him try to do that last time. The actual ward will spot this attempt, and we are seeing some moves down. Coast are sending their mid laner and jungler over there. 3-man there. Twitch and Yasuo could join, making a 3v5.
Rux getting a little closer to Santorin. He could possibly have stolen it if he had gone really hard on it, but this early on in the game, a death, giving up double buffs for the dragon, is not worth it.
The funny thing is, I feel like there's enough damage coming out for dragon that you could potentially try to contest if you play it right, but
yeah,
again, still a 3v5. I understand being risk-averse in this scenario, so Coast simply knows the timer on the dragon respawn. It went down about 3:45, and they're just going to continue to clear the jungle on this one. Support goes back to the dual lane, and again, we just have 80 carry supports, freezing the lane, top laner is getting not much.
And actually, Golden Glue is maxing his spear first, as opposed to his Primal Surge, so he's not going to go for an auto-attack-based build here in the early game. Instead, he's just going to try and make it so that when they group up for team fights around level 9, level 11, he'll be fine and he'll be ready to go.
We'll see if he is, though. If he gets pushed around too much. Only 19 minions for Golden Glue is a pretty low mark right here. You can see that these 80 carries are getting around the 30, so you can kind of gauge how much is getting missed by these guys. ManCloud's not missing much. Golden Glue missing a lot.
Oh, speaking of missing CS, Chris has 2. Big old 2.
Yeah, well, at least he'll finally make his way up to this top lane here. Only level 2 as well. Sheep is around. You're seeing Chris get whatever he can from this, but also keep in mind, this lane, I think, might be pushing into a story. There's a bit of a knock-up there. Golden is going to take some good damage. Half HP, some more damage from ManCloud, a simple heal. And he's going to stay safe without losing any summoner spells. Actually, no, he loses the heal, sorry.
The gank assistance off of Yasuo is really good, and I talked about it in the early game. And now they get control of this mid lane area. They can go ahead and push this in with their high health bars.
You know what's crazy, actually, is ManCloud went, I don't know if you mentioned this, I didn't remember it, but he went heal on Yasuo. There's very low individual kill pressure there.
Yeah, Yasuo, you can take the Ignite against Nidalee, so you can have her heals, her Primal Surge as well, but instead he's going for the team fight. It's what this team composition is based around, too, is just a lot of wombo. Just looking for that.
We'll see if that pays out. And watch him like get into a duel and like not kill him by like 40 HP, and you're like, Ignite. Hasn't happened yet. We'll see what happens.
Even right there, though, the Primal Surge would have been halved alongside the heal. May have been enough with the Ignite ticking too, because then Golden Glue wouldn't have gotten about 200 HP back. Maybe about 150.
Yeah, I'd say 150 is about the right mark for that one.
Between the two spells, yeah.
Yeah. 150 total off, plus the ignite damage is
pretty much negate the entirety of the heals.
Like 30 or 50 plus 20 per level is, you know, another 100 something. So yeah, 300 health difference. Would not have necessarily quite killed him. Sheep level 4 shows up mid lane here for Golden Glue. Trying to keep the lane in good shape. Again, the push just still happening. ManCloud 53 to 35 CS. Sheep trying to help as best he can. Lanes are still moving around a little bit. I like this move actually. Santorin manages to slink into his bottom lane. Ward hops in, gets a slow. Chris is only level 3 but misses the Q. So nothing to be gained here for Santorin. He's going to back out.
And this is mandatory Cloud being that CS monster. This time he lands the Q.
But Chris, you got to keep in mind, has no summoners up now. He's lost his flash already. He's teleported back to lane recently. If he does die, he misses a whole bunch of golden XP, but Bunny Fufu's now here to defend him, to keep him in a decent spot. Nice dark binding dodge there by Corki, and he's got enough damage to last it under turret.
And now there's this 1,000 gold lead for Curse Academy. What can they do with it? The Dragon, and this is basically the same spot that Coast was in last game. They got that 1k gold lead off of the Dragon, off of the experience and the pushing, and making basically the lane swap an advantage for them.
Yeah.
And transitioning it. The big thing is, what do they do with this second Dragon that comes up in 2 minutes? If they hand it over, it's all for naught. The second Dragon's worth even more, and it'll equalize the gold for Coast, and they'll be right back in this with no real hiccup.
Yeah, sure. And like this kind of team doesn't turn on until the second Dragon anyway. Like no real team comp really does. It's more about your laning and gank pressure. Mash, good dodge there on the binding. He's going to stay safe. Bunny Fufu gets his money though from the puddle, to be expected. And it's just Mash sitting there trying to get farm under the turret. Sheep is roaming around really heavily. It's very much roaming support. He's keeping Golden Glue's lane afloat, trusting Corki to solo it.
And they want to put more farm into Mash Me, make sure that he can carry the game, the late game. He hasn't backed yet for a single item. Sitting down on about 2k gold right now.
Codex plus Chalice.
Yep.
And BF Sword Longsword right now if you're Mash Me on the AD carry. So I think some wards came in for Golden Glue as well. And so he will be ready to set up this Dragon that spawns in about a minute and a half.
And speaking of wards, Santorin's on top of one. He gets hit by a binding.
This is going to be pretty bad for him. A whole bunch of bursts of Cocoon as well. Santorin gets some burst out. Oh, and it's going to be Mash Me chasing onto Chris. Does get the kill. Burns down a heal. Fighting Saint. Oh, a good bind. A good bit of burst. The rocket hits and Mash Me. Can he flash the wall? Yes, he can. I cannot believe it. Don't Mash Me.
Oh, Fufu has
Santorin.
Oh
my gosh.
Oh.
Valkyrie's up in a little bit.
Go
Flash Q.
Gets him.
Nicely done, Bunny Fufu, making it 2 for 2 overall. Still assist credit going to Saint.
And the blue gets transferred over across 3 members there. Meanwhile, saw Mandatory Cloud go up top. Golden Glue's going to get turret damage now, and the Dragon is back up in 30 seconds. So everybody's going to be respawned. Everybody's going to have their items in their inventory, and their little power spikes coming out here. Can they get there? Can they get there in time? And who's going to get ward control? It's the big thing.
Right now it's the upper jungle being ward controlled by Curse Academy, but that is not, of course, where the Dragon spawns, but it's where they put all their effort anyway. And of course, they still have a bunch of members up there. They got 15 seconds till it respawns. People got to get to the right location soon. ManCloud, if he doesn't back, is going to give up numbers control.
Yeah, and St. Vicious, he got a Sight Stone before he even completed his jungle item. Nice. He's going for the vision control. We're seeing more and more of this from Elise in the LCS and all throughout Elise play. Dragon's live. No real wards put around that area for either team.
Ruck's got to be careful. A lot of CC. Forced a Dragon from away from this one. Sheep will stay safe. Now Santorin could have smited red buff and didn't, so he knows to save smite for this Dragon. The problem is Coast don't have the numbers to really fight for it. Teleport to the mid lane for Chris. ManCloud's already back to the mid lane, and Coast's AD carry Mash Me is top lane. Like, there's no reason to even contest this necessarily.
Rux could teleport in, but right now, Santorin, he's going to go for the smite. He gets it!
Oh my gosh, Santorin gets the smite steal. Extremely well played, and, well, St. Vicious, what do you expect?
I'm not going to answer that.
Let's be real. Let's be real. Everyone saw that coming.
Pretty much living up to the hype there. The Santorin, definitely living up to his hype.
He's doing great.
Cloud9 Eclipse, they made it to the Summer Promotion Tournament, and now he's playing in North America, and he's doing a fantastic job. 100% kill participation this game, too. Smited away the Dragon, and man, coming up big for his team.
Yeah, but keep in mind, even with the Dragon steal, Curse Academy still have 1,000 gold lead. Coast crushed game 1. They were 1/3 of the way to ending the game at this point in the last game. And this is a very, very different situation. Their Curse Academy are winning the mid lane. They're tied up in the AD carries. And again, this is a team with a Twitch, which means if you go late game AD carry, it's a bad place for you. Traded dragons, traded turrets now as well, and the gold is back to tied at this point. You got to be careful about what he also can do to you guys. Sheep streaming towards the front. He's going to put the Unbreakable down. ManCloud going around, does get the knock-up onto one. And look at this, the kick going back and forth, though. Damage coming through. Somebody he'll burned as well. And there's the Bromley, but it misses entirely. Sheep doesn't get anybody.
And Rux still has his teleport available. Chris does not. He decides not to go into that fight, but instead to duel Impactful and just see who can get those little bits of scraps of CS, because if you're a top laner right now, you are definitely hurting for CS.
Yeah, double Doran's Ring Chalice is not exactly an end game build right here. Thankfully, we saw this actually with, I think it was Dignitas. I'm like blanking on teams unfortunately right
Dyrus?
now. I think it was Dig though, because it was Zion playing Lulu back in yesterday's games,
yes.
and they said, yeah, he's really far behind, but you know what? It's still Lulu.
Yeah.
Like, he can still contribute what he needs to a team. We don't care about that champion getting farm. And with Curse Academy making that change, like Aurelia needs farm. Like Aurelia in that sort of situation is going to have a pretty rough time. A Lulu is still going to be pretty effective. And so Chris being down isn't nearly as harmful this game.
Yeah, absolutely. Because he didn't even hit a single spike with Aurelia in terms of power at all.
Power spike?
Yeah. Well, I was going to say at all through items or
oh, sure.
level.
Yeah, absolutely. Uh-oh.
Botland.
Yeah, now it's a 2v1. You got to leave your Mash here. Binding. Predicts the juke. He doesn't this time. Mash's done a very good job of figuring out where these binds come from for Bunny Fufu. Outside of that one he flash queued under the turret, he's read the binding accuracy every time.
Yeah, the binding is out for actually a complete second because its travel time is about the same as its distance. So if you can react fast enough, you can pretty much dodge it every time, unless you're up against a wall.
Then you have no reaction.
And then it goes straight across it. Then you have to flash it.
Yep.
Or Valkyrie. We'll see.
Outrun it.
Yeah.
Valkyrie's about the same speed as binding, actually.
Just have
go
it
with similar speeds.
Have it be right next to you.
Yep. Here we go. The bot lane wind cloud comes out for ManCloud. I just realized how convenient it is that a wind-based champion is played by ManCloud. I only just now got that. And I mean, you wouldn't want to be Janna because he's ManCloud, not WomanCloud.
Okay.
So,
okay.
It makes a whole bunch of sense. Or Riven in this case. You know, wind slashes.
Okay. I'm there with you. But
there's a funny joke in here somewhere. Guys, I gave you the setup. Tweet at LOE Esports, hashtag Puns of Damage, and make it happen. Golden Glue on the run away. ManCloud actually put some good hurt on him, though the static shift is there. No lifesteal, just rushing the damage output. He's doing a great job.
Yeah, and he's actually keeping equal levels in his E and his Q. He has it at 4, 1, and 4.
I know he put 3 points in E early. I remember seeing him at level 5.
Yeah.
So he went 1-1-3, and now, yeah, he's getting that Q maxed out there.
Because I remember seeing Xiao, and he had 5 points in his... He went 3-1-4, and then went 3-1-5.
Okay.
So it's actually just whatever you want at this point.
Yeah.
Seeing what you need for the team.
There's ways to balance it out. Right now, Coast sitting down in the bottom lane. They've got pretty equal levels. Hero
Secret Service minion.
Yep. Jumps in the way, dies for his services, but helps Mash here. Jeep going up. Puts the Unbreakable down there. Jungler is around. They could go for this fight, but of course there's a counter gank waiting for him. St. Vicious just by the double golems.
Saint and Santorin, the pink ward comes down. They're going to actually move Santorin up into a forward position here. Ready for the fight. Now Mash will most likely back up alongside Sheep, and they'll try to suck him into this vacuum where Santorin can flank them.
This is crazy. It's 2 pink wards just for the lane, just to get a kill here. Knock down Impactful, knock down some of this this end game. And look how safe they are. They know those brushes are dark. Bunny Fufu. Yeah.
Yeah, he got the ticks.
You can count from the ticks how many are in that brush. You know there's one automatically.
Yes.
You can tell there's 2 by how much your gold went up. Guy's pretty good at the game.
Oh, yeah.
And I assume he did that.
Yep. And Santorin is caught. They see him out. He's going to have to back up here. But the gold, even across the board, pretty much this game, this matchup, just wax and wanes off of dragons.
Yeah.
It ebb and flows off of those fights. Not a lot of solo kills, not a lot of group up kills that end up happening. And it's really just those team fights when Dragon comes down.
Ooh, slow. Some CC goes in. Nice black shield. Here comes the teleport onto the turret. Chris keeping his team alive. Another javelin hits a backfull, though. That is not good.
is invisible impactful too. He was in his ambush during that time. Dragon is up in about 50 seconds. So they have to back, they have to get their items. They can no longer fight this. Bunny, Fufu, and Impactful. If anybody dies right now, they will be back just in time for Dragon, but it's a long walk.
They're not going to be there in time for this bottom lane turret. It's going to go down. Team Coast finding the siege they wanted. They've still got that split pusher in Rux in the top lane. He's making headway towards the tier 2 turret, but Coast grab this outer turret in the bottom lane for their efforts. Dragon's back up as well, and they're going for this one, and no one is around to stop them. It's just the mid lane being pushed out by ManCloud, that level 11 Yasuo. He will get mid outer turret for the Dragon, but it's still overall more objectives for Team Coast.
The Dragon came up a little bit sooner than I had thought, but they end up getting it for themselves, and now Coast have a lead. And like I said, this game just whacks and wanes off of that objective control, and Coast has played it a lot better in game 1, and now, despite being the person who was lane swapped against, that second Dragon that was smited away by Santorin put them back in the game and back in even.
Now it's looking pretty good for these guys. Slightly over 1,000 gold. Doesn't mean a ton, but hey, it does mean that you're ahead. You got items coming through now. The first real combines are starting to come out here. Of course, we've seen Static Shiv and most of Ruin King now for ManCloud. The start of a death cap for Golden Glue, so he's also at 1.5. 80 carries have hit their first big item. They're going to keep going, and finally the top lane has gotten combines as well. ManCloud gets the knock, goes to the ulti as well. Golden Glue not in a good spot. It's going to be a lot of pain coming through. The ulti burned by Bunny Fufu plus the ignite, but the flash away is going to keep Golden Glue safe. Nice wind wall going to stop Santorin's Q. No counter engage there, so it's Golden Glue losing summoners.
So they're using the ignite from Bunny Fufu instead of the one on ManCloud to go ahead and get the heal just halved, put the grievous wounds on to Golden Glue. Now it's at that point again where everybody's just taking these little objectives, waiting for the big objectives to come up and get themselves big pockets full of gold. Now, these two teams are just very similar in play style right now in terms of what they're doing across the map. Just Coast is doing it one click better.
Yeah, exactly. The first Dragon came through because you expected from the lane swap, and then objectives have only gone Coast way since, really. Bottom lane outer, though, that will go down, making me a liar here. So Curse Academy have tied up the turret game. These guys have both taken the entire outer shell.
Also, last time Coast had that 1k gold lead in game 1, they transitioned it into a really big lead, just off of wards and off of getting a lot of picks and getting the next Dragon. Now that they have a 600, 700 gold lead, can they do something with that? Because it sounds very small, but they know how to work with this from what we've seen.
Yeah, they definitely can. We'll see if it does come to fruition here. Looks like Coast wanting to keep pushing down to the mid lane. Trinket ward over the wall. Knockup's there from ManCloud. Doesn't follow it up. Mash does get stunned, but Sheep's there to the rescue. Damage coming through Saint at half HP, but there's the engage. ManCloud pushed back. Sheep incredibly low. The huge damage coming through the flash ulti from Chris to knock them down, and it's going to be a kill picked up. Impactful gets the kill credit, and Coast are routed.
Now they have to back off there, about 200 gold. It's pretty much even across the board. Now ManCloud, he's looking for that last breath. Steel Tempest, Impactful, gonna move up. And now what do they get with that kill? Is Curse Academy going to take anything right now? It's gonna be very difficult because they don't have complete ward control of this area, and they're going to be eating javelins the entire time.
And they gotta be careful about not getting too full on those. It's nice to stay hungry in this game and make some good choices. You're gonna see, once again, this fight.
Yeah, Sheep comes up just to protect. He does stop the sweeping wind there, but he ends up getting knocked up by Chris. Flash from Bunny Fufu to almost get Impactful, getting his flash out of the way. It was actually pretty big, and it may come up big later, because support flash for your AD carry flash. Definitely worth the trade.
Just keep going. Actually, Rux and ManCloud going to be fighting each other down in the bot lane. Javelin shows up. Nice wind wall plus the knockup. ManCloud staying safe so far. Got to have a knockup in this queue right here. Dodges the Javelin, and nothing's going to happen to him. Perfectly played by this Yasuo. You can't ward hop to that. Now Slow's going to come in for Sheep, though. That could be enough. Forced to flash. Couple more attacks could do it. ManCloud pro summoner heal to get more distance away, and he will not go down. Staying safe.
But he's causing so much pressure in this bottom lane. So many people are actually dealing with him right now that the middle lane, Impactful, is just farming up alongside Bunny Fufu. And up top, Lulu's been pushing this entire time. There's a huge wave up there, and Chris has TP. Person dealing with it right now, Mash, does not, and he doesn't even have a flash either.
You got to be a little bit careful there in the mid lane, getting pushed as well. Chris can be getting some good damage down, and of course, no one is around to stop this. Rux is going to be in a 1v3, so the turret's going to lose health. He doesn't put that much pressure across, but now the bottom lane, of course, is the place of the siege.
Santorin is trying to take control of this jungle for himself. Look at all of these wards that Coast have on that red side jungle. Dragon is up in 1.5 minutes currently, and these teams are already setting up with 3-minute wards so that they don't have to place them or be in compromising positions to place them.
Stade's going to keep his farm going up level 11. Again, that Sight Stone now picked up for both junglers, so 2 Sight Stones per team. I think it's kind of what's to be expected now in this patch. We've seen some of the best junglers in the game spend a lot of money on wards, and I figured at some point, like, you might as well just get the Sight Stone. You're doing the same thing support's doing anyway.
Yeah, and the funny thing too is that the junglers that are considered the S tier right now, the Lisa and Elise, Evelyn is actually up there, but I wouldn't consider her as good as those two. They both fit Sightstone directly into their build without losing too much.
Yeah.
Jarvan, on the other hand, you can put it in, but you kind of lose out on a little power spike.
Yeah. So they're definitely synergizing well with the vision items and continuing to be these fighters who can get some picks and deal some base damage.
Maybe Nunu will be coming back too, because Sightstone's really good for him.
I agree. I think we should see a lot of them. See if that'll happen anyway. Of course, Nunu takes a good long time to learn, but I think it's worth it. St. Vicious notes that the red buff is still up, but he's in the wrong spot there. Big damage comes in. Lulu ulti to keep his team safe. Glitterlands hits 1. Chris stays safe with the rest of the team. Bunny Fufu half HP. They're going to walk away.
Golden trying to poke them out. And Mandatory Cloud, he still has a 30 CS lead now. And he's the split pusher currently. He's getting towards that 100% crit build. And as soon as he gets his Infinity Edge, it's actually going to be quite a bit. Dragon is coming up now in about 3 seconds. And Coast, they're already set up for it. Curse Academy, they need to make a move here and not get caught. The Golden Blue, he's caught.
Yeah, he is not in a good spot. Big damage from Impactful. The attack's coming through. There's the flash in to make sure it all happens. And that is a kill picked up. Nice pick there, right in time for Dragon.
Yeah, right before the Dragon even gets started up. And is Curse Academy going to go for the Dragon, or are they going to push the Turks? If they push the turret, they're outnumbered currently on Coast side.
They have Yasuo on the wings. Coast know they're
sitting. It's going to be an even fight in the mid.
Ooh,
can Sheep get a good ultimate? The question.
They can go in. Santorin wants this. It's going to be St. Vicious taking a bit of damage. Going to repel up into the air. Goes towards the backside. Sheep going to block for his team a little bit. Of course, Impactful ulti is down. And they're going to actually chase in towards the one. It's going to be a 4v3. Nice ulti once again from Chris, keeping his team safe. The disengage is there. Mancloud actually is going to be stealing buffs in the jungle. Doesn't even want to fight.
And now Golden Glue is back. Santorin actually blew his flash there. Wasn't able to get a kickback.
But they are going to get Dragon for it, so Curse Academy making a lot better choices there. Uh-oh, Bunny Fufu. He was in the wrong spot on top of the ward. There's the knockup, though. 2-man Yasuo ulti. Braum ulti popped as well, and the team's going to filter back down. Of course, Chris has already left the fight, so an outnumbered battle. Saint's going to get one back. Santorin's still alive, though. Mancloud going as big as he possibly can, but it's not going to be enough. 2 kills for 4. And it's going to be a Dragon, but a kill, like, large number going to Coast.
Yeah, despite the Dragon going over and the 4 kills for 2, Curse Academy, they end up with a gold lead right now. Big thing here, Chris TP's top. He's already top, just farming that wave. And now they're outnumbered. Great ultimate across multiple member there. And here comes Gold Blue from the side, just cleans up this fight, gets Impactful, and then it's Mandatory Cloud as the last member alive. Big little blunder there. Chris TPing top, not being in the fight. And at the same time, they should have pulled off altogether in the same direction instead of going off to the, just basically scattered to the wind there.
Yeah. I mean, Curse Academy put no wards down as they retreated out of mid. They'd figured, hey, you know, we killed someone off, right? The mid laner's dead. We get Dragon, but they took so long after that kill, going back and forth and finally coming down for Dragon. You saw that Golden Glue got to rejoin that fight. He and Sheep alone killed off Impactful in that battle. It's like, well, you lose your AD carry, who's only been hitting the support. Good fight.
Yeah, definitely good fight there for Coast. They're still down in gold by about 1,000. Curse Academy have that up, and now Mancloud dueling Rux. But he's definitely stronger right now because Yasuo's power spikes off of items start hitting after he gets the Static Shiv and the Blade of the Ruined King. Now, Rux is going to have none of that. He's going to go rotate towards middle. And here's the thing, too, is Golden Glue, he got a Zhonya's Hourglass. He's not looking for the big chunky spears just yet. He's looking to survive and dodge Golden Glue's, or Mancloud's ultimate. Make sure that he doesn't get taken up by that.
I mean, especially if someone like Impactful jumps in on you, right? Like, he's going to be a bit aggressive to do it. You're generally a squishy champion, but if you buy that 2.5 seconds of time, that gives you time for your team to show up, gives you time for the Twitch queue to time out, maybe the Ruined King slow to time out. There's actually a number of windows that close just through a Zhonya's active. ManCloud will sweep away the pink ward, successfully done. They replace it with a green one, but at least it's a 100 gold item down, and the siege now going to begin for Team Coast. They're down 1,000 gold, but I think their items are there enough just to go for this anyway.
And there's a big thing here too, is that against this Nidalee and this wave clear from Coast, you have to bring Chris into this fight. He can't split push because he's your wave clear.
Knock up on Rux, and they're going to go for this fight. Sheep shows and says, stand behind me, puts the shield up, but the battle has begun. Bunny Foo flashing, and he's going to get the stun onto Rux. The disengagement, Sheep goes down. 1-for-0, Impactful still firing, and Rux will fall as well. 2 kills go to the Curse Academy AD carry, and they have won this fight.
2-for-0, ManCloud just chasing them down on that Yasuo, who is extremely powerful, alongside Impactful, who's going with the same build as last time, but he's doing more with it this time. And they're going to get rewarded with this tier 2 turret and just continue to get map control.
Well, absolutely beautiful play by Curse Academy, making very good choices to re-engage in that fight. Coast apparently could not have sieged that battle because they opted into a fight, basically, one where they could be engaged upon, and it went miserably for them. So we're going to see Curse Academy now looking much better now in Game 2. Team Coast, they've just not found their way in with this poke comp. It seems like the change from Ziggs to Nidalee just was not worth it here. The ManCloud's going big.
They're baiting the Baron here for Coast. Baiting him into this fight. TP onto Rux. Bunny Fufu. Oh, he's teleporting in. They get Bunny.
Low health. There's the Q. The damage coming through. Bunny Fufu stays alive. Now Rux with the flank, but does not have Dragon Form. This battle has begun, but ManCloud's in the mix. He's got the 3-man ulti, and he's blowing people up in the back lines. 2-for-0 so far, and now Curse Academy goes for Baron.
ManCloud gets 3 people up in that Steel Tempest, and now they don't have a lot of pressure here. Santorin, he's not gonna. Oh, he's actually gonna stick around and try to steal. Oh nope, he just smites the red. No chance there of contesting the Baron.
So Curse Academy now twice in a row go big in a team fight. They get a tier 2 turret the one time. They get a Baron the second time, and Curse Academy showing a lot of new life now in this game. They're looking very good in Game 2.
Yeah. Bunny Fufu, they go all in on him, but he gets Wild Growth to keep him alive and get Santorin out of the fight. Want to watch this 3-man ultimate here off of the Steel Tempest. Waits for all 3 to hit, grabs all the priority targets you get on the Nidalee and the Corki. ManCloud, best Steel Tempest of the game so far.
Yeah, that completely made that fight worth it. Of course, Rux didn't seem to even do very much in that fight as well. He got the flank as this top laner, right? Sure, but like you just hit someone, you saw kind of halfway through who's like, you know what, we're going to lose, and just like walks right through the team and says, we're gone right
Booking
now.
it.
Yeah, he just books it, and then it just gives time for ManCloud to go kill people. So the 2-1-5 Yasuo, 283 CS, easily the highest in the game. I mean, by a lot, he's leading this one. And now with the Infinity Edge there as well, good luck getting rid of ManCloud.
Yeah, Mandatory Cloud's going to be doing a lot of damage very quickly and in a very sustained manner too. Yasuo, when he reaches the 100% crit power spike, is extremely potent, hard to deal with, and the fact that he's level 16 already, and he has that rank 3 ultimate, he can cast it 2-3 times a fight.
Yep. It's going to be scary. Here we go. Top lane turret now being attacked, and it's going to take a whole bunch of damage thanks to Impactful being now at 3 items on an AD carry. And that turret has fallen 10-6 in kills, but the really big point is that it's 49.5 to 42,000 gold. 7.5k lead. Curse Academy up 2 turrets as well. They're actually winning in global objectives pretty significantly. They're looking pretty perfect.
And so far, the team that's been able to get the most dragons is the team that ends up winning the game. Dragon is once again up. And now Curse Academy, they have control of it, and they're going to continue to take it with this Baron buff and these temporary combat stats that they've gotten for themselves. So far, they're looking really good and a lot better than last game. Shaking off the rust, shaking off the nerves, giving Coast a run for their money.
Yeah, absolutely. This is looking very good. Like we're going to be going to a Game 3 here. Curse Academy making good choices there. And here we go. Bottom lane tier 2 now also under fire. It looks like defense is not going to be an option. So they've turned those temporary combat stats into permanent ones with a few thousand global gold picked up after the Baron buff went down. Of course, they've still got a minute and a half to work with. They want to get something else going in. But Curse Academy just looking better and better and better and better. Now 10,000 gold.
Now the thing here that Curse Academy has is they have some engage if you can get Yasuo into the fight, and you can ulti, get him into the back line somehow. But Coast, they have wave clear, they have poke. They can siege this out, they can turtle it for a very long time. And that's their way back into the game if they get poke and they get wave clear down. We'll
We'll see if they can. I mean, you've got actually Sorkshoes Corki coming in from MASH, so he's got decent spell damage and minions coming out. Rux has not really been able to split push, though. We've seen that he definitely can't deal with Man Cloud, and I think he's afraid of getting collapsed on if he splits anywhere else. So all the cards are here for Curse Academy, and it seems to have every time now snowballed off the mid lane are getting so big that a team can't deal with them. Game 1, it was Golden Blue's gigantic Ziggs, crushed Man Cloud in lane, then it never came online, and you had early game sieges. This time around, Man Cloud's so big, he just single-handedly wins team fights.
Looking for where the engage is going to come from. The Baron is still on Curse Academy for just a little while longer. They're going to back. By the time they get back there, it'll be gone. Coast, 10k gold down at this point in the game at 31 minutes. Last game was over by this time.
Yeah.
And they're behind in levels. They're in the situation that Curse Academy was in last game. 3 levels down on Golden Glue under Mandatory Cloud. 2 levels down on Rux. A lot of power spikes here for Curse Academy in comparison to Coast is the big thing.
Oh, yeah. And you actually just had Home Guard boot spot there from MASH as well, so he's even further delayed the time at which he actually gets any real items in here. Whereas you've got a Zhonya's done for like Bunny Fufu, like you've got so many good ways to start a fight. Locket done as like I can just like point out items, be like, oh look at this power spike, look at this spike, look at this spike. Chris is at 3 items as well. This is the type of game where top laners get held down for a long time, and Chris is more damaging than Golden Glue.
Yeah, that's true. At this point in the game, though, it's a lot. They just have to pull out the Wombo combo for Curse Academy and end it off of a big team fight. But how do you bait Coast into that team fight when they have such a poke-oriented team with some disengage? You have to, and they can keep Mandatory Cloud out of the fight. But that's going to be how they do it. Mandatory Cloud can get into the fight. And he has multiple options. He has multiple ways to do that.
Yeah. I mean, he's got a Morgana and Lulu to help him the whole way through, and hopefully that's going to be enough to keep him alive as he kills everyone, because he'll two-shot most champions. That'll be the test. Curse Academy continuing to own the map. Of course, the hard part is getting into the Nexus turrets, and the inhibitor turrets as well right before them. You can certainly own the rest of the map until then, but if you take too long, your opponents can catch up on you. There's some balance between striking a larger total gold lead before that actually becomes irrelevant as time passes on a little bit longer. Right now that's not the case. You've still got room to grow, but eventually that does become something to think about. Curse Academy getting themselves ready for the next push.
And now split pushing it actually. 2 in the top, 3 in the mid, and then they're coming over. Have the pink wards in the right area so they can see if that area is covered or warded at all, and they know that they aren't seen. That's a big part of it too.
I don't think Coast will even try though. Like no traps will work because you're not going to go in.
Yeah.
They don't want the cheese.
It's the siege game at this point. So take a step back, and I'll be like, yeah, the term sieging came from starving your enemies. That's exactly what they're doing. They're sealing them off and being like, all right, when you guys get to the point where you don't want to do this anymore and you come to us, we'll be happy to greet you. Otherwise...
With catapults. And
yeah, well, they have spears, they have javelins, and everything else. But I don't think Coast is going to extend outside of their base at this point. They're just going to let the waves come to them. The Baron's coming up very shortly, but will they contest it? They didn't contest it last time after they started it. Santorin didn't even go for a Brave Steel. Nope. Right just went for the safe play. But now, the safe play would be to not contest it, but it's kind of a double-edged sword.
Yeah. Curse Academy use the first Baron buff to remove all the tier 2 turrets, get vision control over the jungle, steal away the buffs, and set up for Baron number 2. Now that the only thing left are inhibitor turrets inside the base, Curse Academy recall one more time. They've got the Baron buff, and they've got 4 minutes to siege with this regen, with these extra stats, and try to push the game down. The only difficulty, they don't have a true tank. There is only one armor item in the game that's not Zhonya's for Curse Academy. Saint is not that tanky. He can't tank a turret forever.
Yeah, they can't just walk up and tank it. And they're mostly focused on magic resistance as well. We see the locket completed. We also see that Lulu is going for the Spectre's Cowl, waiting, making sure that he doesn't get poked out by Golden Glue's Nidalee.
I just wonder how much the lack of turret tanking stats will hurt Curse Academy. It's likely to be okay. Of course, Banshees to stop javelins, but we have to see just how well Coast can play defense here. Minions getting killed away fairly rapidly. Wave comes up. Wind Wall doesn't do too much, and no attacks come through on this wave, but we were waiting for Chris and Impactful to show up in the wave. There's a bunch of minions pushing actually both the top and bottom side, and a minute and a half or so, Chris Academy might want to back up and claim the gold, but if all they're doing is claiming gold, that's still not closing out the game. Binding's gonna hit, some good damage will come through. They're gonna try one more time. Wind Wall now more aggressive. They're putting some damage in the turret. Now Impactful putting actually a lot. You can see the Black Shield helping, and it's down well below half HP. This siege is working. They're getting the damage through.
I think a big part of that is he walks up, ManCloud does, puts the Wind Wall so you can't clear the wave with your Missile Barrage.
Yep. This is executed perfectly there. They're putting all the things together. You're seeing them stack the shields prematurely on Impactful. Just, you know, no matter what, we got to guarantee nothing's going to hit him. No Flash Braum ulti will go through at that point. No Flash Lee Sin kick's going to happen here. So far, so good. Trying one more time. And once again, the Wind Wall's there. The shields are there. Black Shield is on. And there's the first inhib turret. Sheep gets caught. There's the ulti in. And ManCloud made his way into the fight. Shields are there trying to keep Sheep alive, but he will die, actually. That's a 1 for 0. And now the middle inhibitor getting attacked.
14k gold lead now for Curse Academy, and they back off immediately after with their Baron. ManCloud, last breath is halfway down already. It's almost back up.
Yeah, and that was the first 2 minutes of the Baron buff. They've got an equal amount of time to go for somewhere else, but now they've got even more things working in their favor. They will send Chris bot lane. There's the giant wave. They got the exact correct wave pushed in, because look at that. They get to claim all that gold in XP. Well, not XP, he's level 18, but they can claim all the gold and then reset without losing basically a second.
Lulu wave clear. We love it in Challenger. Having some flashbacks right now.
So glorious.
Anyway, Dragon back up once again. Chris, he's going to shove out the bottom lane, and at the same time, he has his teleport available. He can get to these fights. Coast, 3 levels down on Golden Glue in comparison to ManCloud. Item efficiency, he's about 100 CS behind now. ManCloud is doing a ton of work for his team at that 10 per minute mark on Yasuo and transitioning into these team fights amazingly well.
So here we go. This could be the game-winning push, because everything has been working so far. 38 minutes of hard work and all the talk before the game to put a plan together, and so far Curse Academy have looked good with the adaptations they made between game 1 and 2. Minions starting to die off. They've got to take a little bit of time with this one. Baron buff down to 30 seconds. This is the last wave they get with Baron buff. Once again, walk up, Wind Wall, double shield on Twitch could be enough.
Same strategy would just work, just more of the same. They're going to do exactly that. It's what the doctor ordered.
Big damage comes through, no wave clear available. Turret's going to go down. Nicely played, Curse Academy. Black Shield will time out soon, so they got to be a little bit worried about the engage, but nothing has stopped these guys whatsoever. Inhibitor now under fire. That is losing health very rapidly here in Team Coast. Have lost 2 inhibs. Curse Academy earning this push on in. Impactful towards the back line. Does take a cue from Lee Sin. That one doesn't matter. ManCloud blocks another Javelin. His Wind Walls have been on point here. And CA just walk away with 2 dead inhibs.
They have to focus on the base right now because there's super minions on their Nexus turrets. They got to clear them out. And then back and then wait for the other waves. And then they'll go bottom and start pushing that up. So a lot of things in Curse Academy's favor right now. Gold, turrets, inhibitors, barons, dragons, everything going their way this game.
Yeah, and they've been pushing by the book. Both these games, actually. In either side, one of the teams got an early lead and was allowed to play their game with no contest. This game right here, you're seeing it. Golden Glue has not been allowed to be important this game. ManCloud's been allowed to go just destroy freaking everybody this game. And everything that Curse Academy tries to do works out. When Coast push, they get stabbed in the back and lose the fight. Game 1 was the same story for Coast. They got the early gold lead. They controlled every single dragon. Every trap they set worked. But every time they sieged, it was so easy for them. They had the items first, they had the levels first, and there was no way in for Curse Academy. Both these games have been, to be honest, fairly one-sided. One fast than the other, but still.
Waiting. See what's there. Saint is going to check it with the Spiderling. Oh, they found
the
Saint.
slow, flashing away, putting the cocoon down, and he can repel if he needs to. Stuns are there, but here comes the re-engage.
Oh,
Impactful, getting a massive spray off of the back lines, but 1 kill comes in for Rux so far, but he's going to start falling down. The chase on in, the knockup is there. Golden Glue's got really nowhere to go, and he's going to fall down. Triple kill for Impactful, another for ManCloud, and now only Sheep is alive. Knockup is found, the red buff there. There's the surrender, 40.5 minutes in, and Curse Academy tie it up in the semifinals.
He also killed Golden Glue 3 times, no longer deathless against Mandatory Cloud's teams. ManCloud coming up really big that game in CS, getting objectives for his team, and I want to say the Dragons and just rotating around them, it basically dictated the start of the game, dictated the finish of the game too. that was an amazing game all throughout. Curse Academy bringing it back 1-1 here and just turning over a new leaf in that second game.
I gotta say, I think there were two elements that stuck through in both games. The fact that the team that didn't lane swap, right, the one that like, look, we're gonna send our dual lane bottom like is normal for teams, got the dragon, got the early gold from that, and did get to snowball that a little bit, and they kind of kept that sort of control. Smite steals notwithstanding. The second one is the fact that the team that picked the weak mid laner, Nidalee in both these cases, got run over, and then they never got started out. The teams are playing tight enough, control-focused games that if your mid laner falls behind, you don't have a way out of the game anymore. And it seems like if these teams want to play these slower, poke-focused games, they've got to find ways to not hemorrhage a bunch of gold early on.
Yeah, they are having a lot of problems with that on both sides. You hemorrhage gold when you lane swap and you give up the dragon, the early dragon that both of these teams have shown they can transition into a lead. Curse Academy, they just had a little hiccup there because they got Smite stolen away the second time.
Yeah.
But then when they showed up to the dragon the next time, they got it, but then they gave up 4 kills for 2, but ended up with a gold lead there, and that's where they started to just bump themselves in, and it put Coast in a corner where they were kind of like, we have to do something, we'll bait the Baron.
Yeah.
Lose the Baron, lose a lot of members of their team, and that's when they were just pushed to their front door. The level advantage was in favor of Curse Academy. And then in the very end, too, Coast, they go when they're behind for these very ballsy, risky moves.
Yeah. And that's always a curiosity. This is something that old EG did actually last split, is they're like, yeah, if we're behind, we just like fight you out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And like Complexity was like, yeah, we don't take enough risks when we're behind. It's like, well, it's a good way to lose a game really fast. Like yesterday, Team LolPro got behind early on. They're like, Kale Kogba, we'll wait. And they patiently waited to come back. Of course, the comp must support that. And in this case, there wasn't a big end-game goal here for Coast. So maybe they don't have those kind of tools. But I mean, maybe keep that in mind.
I think the Yasuo put a big damper on that for ManCloud, picking that away and revolving the comp around that with Chris, and also having Impactful in there too with the Rat-Tat-Tat on Twitch, just going across all of the members, very wombo combo oriented. And the fact that he was able to put the wind walls right in front of the turret to block off the wave clear was brilliant.
Yeah, so excellent play by Curse Academy by the book, and they closed the game out in 40 minutes, slow but steady the whole time through. Now, guys, we're going to take another quick break, but when we return, it's time for the deciding game between Curse Academy and Team Coast. It's winner take all right after this. This is going to be pretty bad from a whole bunch of bursts. The Cocoon as well. Santorin gets some burst out. Oh, and it's going to be Mashme chasing onto Chris. Does get the kill. Burns on the heal. Fighting Saint. Oh, a good bind. A good bit of burst. The rocket hits and Mashme. Can he flash the wall? Yes, he can. But if he was flashing, he's going to get the stun onto Rux. The disengagement sheep goes down. 1 for 0. Impactful still firing, and Rux will fall as well. 2 kills go to the Curse Academy AD carry. Now Rux with the blink, but does not have Dragon Form. This battle has begun, but ManCloud's in the mix. He's got the 2-man, no 3-man ulti, and he's blowing people up in the back line. Stuns are there, but here comes the re-engage.
Oh,
Impactful getting a massive spray off of the back lines, but 1 kill comes in for Rux so far, but he's going to start falling down. The chase on it, the knockup is there. Golden Glue's got really nowhere to go.